Hey guys, it's Bellamy here from Midnight Suns and I just got back from seeing The Marvels. So it's opening day here in Singapore. I just saw it in 3D and this is my quick out of the theatre review for the movie. So I watched this movie in 3D and I know one of the first questions you guys probably have is it worth watching in 3D? Well, I would say yes. You know, even though this movie wasn't shot in 3D, they actually did a really good 3D conversion. So for you guys who don't know, actually Disney is one of the last few big studios who are still pushing 3D movies and they still release all their latest movies on 3D Blu-ray. Yeah, so for the few of us who still enjoy 3D movies, yeah, this movie, the 3D conversion, is actually pretty good. And there are a lot of very unique action scenes in this movie, like, because if you've seen the trailers, you will see that the three main heroes, they constantly switch places while they use their superpowers, and that creates some really interesting scenarios for the action scenes and some really unique action scenes, yeah, and it all looks really great in 3D. They did a really good job converting all the 2D images into 3D. So now let's switch gears and talk about the movie itself. So I'm actually very surprised to say this, but you know, when I watched this movie, I did not expect of the three main heroes, Miss Marvel and Photon and Captain Marvel, I didn't expect Captain Marvel to end up being my favorite of the three main leads in this movie. So, you know, in the previous movies, she doesn't really have much of a personality, which is such a waste because Brie Larson is actually a really good actress. Like, she's an Oscar-winning actress, for those of you who don't know. Yeah, she's actually a really good actress, but I feel that she's kind of been wasted in Marvel so far. Yeah, and she actually got to do so much more in this movie. She has so much more personality in this movie, and I know a lot of people don't really like Brie Larson, but like, putting aside all the political issues that people have with her, she's actually a really good actress. And when she acts in really serious movies, like, she can really perform well, like in Room. If you guys haven't seen that movie, Brie Larson's amazing in it. And she has so much more to do in this movie compared to all her previous appearances as Captain Marvel. Like, in this movie alone, she gets to show way more character than she got to in any of her previous movie appearances. And yeah, it's actually very surprising that they decided to take such a light-hearted approach to her character in this movie. And I think it worked really well because this movie is really wacky and zany and it's a very fun adventure. I mean, it's kind of crazy at times, kind of nonsensical at times too, but you know what? It's fun and I thought she was really good in this movie. Now, that being said, the characters that really steal this movie are the cats, the Flerkens. So Goose has some companions this time around in this movie. And I'm not gonna spoil anything, but when they appear, that's the best series of scenes in the whole movie. And I'm sure many years down the road, when this movie is in the long rear view mirror, people will still remember those scenes with all the Flerkens in it because they were really great in this movie. And yeah, you guys, if you are interested, if you're a cat lover at all like me, you must watch this movie because I think it'll make a lot of cat lovers very happy. And one other thing that I really liked about this movie is that by the end of the movie, you actually feel that Marvel seems to know what direction they're going towards. So I know a lot of people complain in like Phase 4 and 5 in this new multiverse saga. It really feels like Marvel is directionless, like they have no idea where they are going, you know, like the movies don't connect with one another. But finally, when you watch this movie, you see the end scene and the mid-credit scene. There's no post-credit scene, but there is a mid-credit scene. Yeah, so when you see the final scene in the movie and the mid-credit scene, suddenly it makes you feel like, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it really makes you feel that Marvel has an idea of what they're gonna do in the future now. Like, it sets up future Avengers projects and even just the future of the MCU as a whole. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where the MCU goes after this, and this movie actually did a really good job at getting me excited for the future of the MCU. But alright, with all the good things out of the way, let's talk about what I didn't like so much about this movie. So, sad to say, the main villain in this movie is the main problem. So the main villain, Dar-Benn, she honestly doesn't have much of a personality. Like, she's a very boring villain, she's very generic, like, you don't really care about her, and so you don't really care about her motivations, her goals. And that's a big issue because when you watch a movie, you want to see the main characters go against a really strong villain, and then when they overcome that villain, then you feel really happy and satisfied. You know, like there's that feeling of catharsis when the main characters achieve their goals that they fight so hard to get. against a villain that is just as powerful or even more powerful than them. Like that's the whole premise of superhero movies, you know. But because the main villain in this movie is a really poor villain in more ways than one, when the main characters inevitably overcome her, you don't really feel like some satisfaction from it. And when you see how the main villains, basically her narrative arc gets resolved at the end, it's like, what? Like, I don't get spoil anything, but when you watch it, it's like, wow, okay, that's it. So yeah, this movie just gets really held down by the villain. There's no strong villain for the heroes to overcome, which defeats the point of a superhero movie. And overall, I thought the three main characters, the three main heroes, they had really great chemistry, and their dynamic was really fun and entertaining, and their camaraderie really comes through the screen. So the only thing that really held the movie back was the weak villain. I think if they had a really good villain in this movie, like on the level of Loki, this movie will have a way higher score. But overall, I am giving this movie a 7 out of 10. I still think it was a pretty fun and entertaining movie, and even though the villain was pretty bad and generic, I didn't feel bored during the movie. And it's a pretty short movie as well, at around 1 hour 40 minutes, yeah. So this is actually the shortest Marvel movie ever. And yeah, I actually thought that the main characters in this movie, like I said earlier, you know, Captain Marvel is better in this movie than she was in all her previous movie appearances. And the same goes for Miss Marvel and Photon also. So Monica Rambeau, aka Photon, she was much better in this movie, I felt, than she was in WandaVision. And Miss Marvel, also surprisingly, I think she's much better in this movie than she was in her own Disney Plus series. So yeah, the three main leads, they really saved this movie, and this movie wouldn't be so fun without them. And yeah, I actually really enjoyed it thanks to them. So yeah, that's all for this review, guys. Thanks again for watching, and as always, stay gold. I will see you all around.